The anti-pry guard has 3 pieces and another bit. This is the part that goes outside, and you want to center it over the 2 locks. But if you can only do one, just center it over the deadbolt. This is going to screw in on the outside like this. Then what we'll do, I'm going to drill holes into the door right around there to accept these threaded parts. So that's going to go into the door right there. This plate goes on the inside of the door, and then screws will go through these holes through the door into this plate. When the door closes, it'll end up like that so that they cannot get a pry bar in there. Because I have this commercial lock here, and because that rose plate is so big, this piece will not fit in there. So we're just gonna work on the deadbolt, but you could do this for both locks. When you're positioning this plate, you have to determine where it goes as far as how close it's gonna be to the door. Because this piece is gonna screw into the door, but it's also gonna be sitting on top of this. You know, once it's in, even though it's gonna be over here, it's gonna be sticking out that much. So you have to allow for all that distance. Close the door, and then from the edge of the plate to the door, you want at least 1/4 inch. I just put 2 short screws in there, and I'll use that to do all my testing. I need to get this positioned on the door so that it goes right between there. It's got to have a little bit of room on each side. So I put that in place, and I just push it against the door, and I'm pulling the door toward me to get that thing aligned. And once I know where it is, see, I draw those lines so I know where to drill those holes. So I have to drill my holes right on the edge of the plate, which is going to be a challenge. Use a bit that's a little bit bigger than the screws, because the plate will hide the holes. They don't have to be perfect, so don't try to get that exact. You may have to move them around a little bit. Now I got my holes drilled, and here's a common problem. They don't quite line up. They're off a little bit. So I just got to work this one with the drill bit, go up a little bit higher. Here's another issue I have with this kit. So I got the holes drilled out, and that's fine. It doesn't matter if you go up or down on that, because the plate will cover it. But you need to get this plate centered on the lock. And if you do that, look how it lines up with the screws. Perfectly centered. That is a really bad design flaw. I'm surprised no one's mentioned that. I'm surprised they don't change it. You need to, make this plate longer, or make this thing longer. Something. Don't have them the same size. That's horrible. I had to take this bottom screw out, and now I'm gonna have to put it in on an angle, which means it might not sit flush. One more thing you have to overcome. So before I put the screws in, just push that in and it just stays in place. So that position will work. Now I'll put my screws in there. Now with that thing secure, another issue, when you have to overlap them like this, these screws barely reach. That screw is barely sticking into that threaded end. So it might be best to cut this plate right there and then put these on. Could be cut that plate on each side, but that probably voids the warranty. It might not look great, but it's working. So now that we know everything fits, take out these short screws. They give you these tamper-proof screws. They give you another star bit that has a little hole in the top. So there it is. Now this turned out to be a little bit off. So I put a washer just behind these two to just bring this thing out a little bit, because they were just rubbing a tad. I don't want to mess with anything once that's all screwed together. So that's it. Now they can't get a pry bar in there. When I was installing the anti-pry shield on the front door of this house, you can see it was positioned a little bit differently. I did not have to drill into the edge of the door shield. So every door is a little different. Every jamb was a little bit different. This one was easier. And that's it. I've now showed you how to install the hinge shields, the door shields, the jam shield, and the anti-pry shield. I hope this helps you with your door armor installation. Good luck. So, now that we know everything fits,